Hello, my name is Mike Usrey, and welcome back to FM Live. Today, in this episode, we are going to be talking with Robert. Robert is one of our shipping department associates, and we're going to actually be interviewing him a little bit and also talking about his Miata. So in this video, if you have any questions, we're going to try to go through quite a few that came in advance, but if you have more questions, drop them in the comments below, and we'll try to get to them throughout the video as we can. So, Robert, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to FM Live. Thanks for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So, Robert Holbrook, you work in the shipping department. Let's start off with some questions about you, and then we'll move on to the Miata. Is that all right?
Okay. That'll work.
Okay, so first question, how long have you been at Flyin Miata?
I have been here about 6 months now. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's been a new experience, and everyone that is here has been more than welcoming to having me here and working well with everyone.
Very polite answer. Thank you, Robert. What's your feeling on FM so far now that you've kind of been here long enough to know a bit more about what FM's like, you know, on a day-to-day basis? How do you like working with the rest of the shipping department and the rest of FM as a whole?
The rest of the shipping department is definitely a group of let's say spicy brain people.
There we go.
I'm spicy brain. That's what we like to refer to ourselves as. And so we definitely get along very well. It's definitely made working together very nice, makes the days fly by, and does work really well as far as just keeping everybody with a positive attitude, and definitely one of the better places I have worked.
There's lots of laughter in our shipping department. Sometimes it's cackling, but it's a good place to be, I think. So, how did you even get here? Like, that sounds weird to say it that way. Why Flyin Miata, and what did you do to start work here?
So kind of starts a little while ago. I had a 1982 Mazda RX-7, and it was something I was having a little bit of problem with as far as wanting to do some upgrades to. And I happened to look up Flyin Miata about 8 years ago and was like, hi, do you guys do anything with a Mazda RX-7? Because, you know, it's a Mazda. You would think they'd be a little bit similar, share some parts. But at the time, they just didn't touch anything that wasn't a Miata, and that is still true to this day. And so I ended up learning about them, like I said, about 7 years ago, and happened to come across it when I was let go from my previous job about 8 months ago, and ended up putting in with a staffing agency that put me in contact with Flyin Miata, and they definitely enjoyed my resume for the job title that we were doing, and I am very grateful that you guys were willing to take me on board.
Well, we're happy to have you, Robert, I must say. So, that let's talk a bit more about your job here. So we mentioned some of the fun stuff and the spicy brain. What is your favorite thing about working at Flyin Miata and in the shipping department?
I like to stack boxes. It's a lot like Tetris, you know. You get to stack and organize things, especially when we do ship out packages to our customers. It is very fun. I'm sure they have a lot of fun unpacking what we decide to Tetris into some of those boxes because they can be pretty tight. So
what you're saying is that you're perfect for this job?
I mean, you could say that, but
Robert, the interview is over 6 months ago. You're okay. We'll keep you, I think.
All righty then.
Okay, one of the questions we got actually just before this video went live is, well, maybe to preface this, it's common for a lot of the FM employees to actually have moved here to work at Flyin Miata. We're kind of a company of mostly transplants, actually. So did you have to move here to work at Flyin Miata?
Luckily, no. I did live in the area and actually had recently moved out to Palisade Grand Junction area about 4 years ago. So I had already transplanted myself in the area where it is.
So then the next question is, are you a Colorado native?
Yes, I am a Colorado native. I am born and raised on the western slope of Colorado.
Ah, there we go. Correct answer. Good deal. So now that we know a little bit about you, let's talk about Miatas. So we're standing next to this bright, smiley, happy red NA Miata. Tell us a little bit about it.
A little bit of a story. I kind of got lucky with it. Ended up searching Facebook Marketplace for a while, was in search of one, and happened across this little guy. And the previous owner was actually willing to drive it to Denver to bring it to me. And so we hooked all that up and got all the plans in motion. And sure enough, it showed up at my doorstep on a weekend that we had planned and did our transaction. And this is how I ended up with it. A few small problems with it when I did get it is it had a major fuel leak. A lot of people at work were giving me a lot of crap about it because it was a ticking time bomb. Not so much the case anymore. I did go ahead and replace the fuel tank, fuel pump, and a lot of fuel system just to get it operational. Didn't have to worry about it. And so that is now all fixed.
Excellent. So just to clarify, you got this from Denver and they drove it all the way from Denver just to sell it to you?
That is correct.
Dang, that's a good value add because that's a 300-mile trek with a leaky gas tank.
Yeah, the leaky gas tank had me a little worried for the poor guy driving it, but made it okay.
Yeah, excellent. So now that we know how you got the car, what is it? What memorable or notable things have you done to it so far?
So this is my 1990 NA6 Miata. It does still have the 1.6 liter. It has been at least replaced with a 1.6 from a 92. So it does not have the small nose problem that most people do have issue with on the crankshaft bolt. As far as I know what has been done to it, it is sitting on Raceland coilovers. It does have a Cusco locking rear diff. And I have, like I said, just recently replaced fuel pump, the gas tank and the fuel filter, and a couple other small odds and ends here and there, such as the lug nuts and things like that.
Okay, so nothing real major. It's still relatively stock with a few little add-ons here and there.
That is correct.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool. And I won't ask you how much because that's only for you to know, and everybody else can shop for their own cars. But one of the major questions is, were you wanting the 1.6 engine? Was that planned, or is there something else about that story for this particular car?
So the 1.6 engine was not initially planned. However, I am going to make the most of it, just because they're not much different than the 1.8, you know, and between talking to you guys and some other research that I have done, the 1.6 is still a great starting engine. You can still do what you want with it, and a lot of the parts will transfer over to the 1.8 when you're ready, and or if it's at a necessity to do a 1.8 swap. So I will tinker with this until it either blows or I am financially stable enough to get the 1.8.
Sure, yeah, and that's a great point. You know, if it's healthy, especially if they've swapped in a slightly lower mileage 1.6, they're fine. You know, a lot of people actually, if you're curious about the whole 1.6 versus 1.8 battle and preferences, you might check out one of our previous videos where I interview Keith, and he talks about 1.6 Master Race. So, you know, we have lots of opinions on that. He's squinting a little bit now. Okay, so this car, as we mentioned, it's kind of stock with a few little add-ons, little bits and pieces, that kind of thing. What mods do you have planned for this car? Do you have any mods planned for this car, or is it pretty much how you want it and this is how it's going to live?
I have a lot planned for this car. I recently have ordered a roll bar, so that will be going in here probably in the next couple months or so, along with the Coney Sport suspension kit that we sell. That is also going to be going on here probably in the next couple of weeks. Eventually I will probably plan on turboing the 1.6. This is going to be a track car and a cruiser car, kind of 2-in-1, which is kind of the reason why I went with the Coneys over the Fox shocks, just due to comfortability and drivability of the car.
Sure, not to mention price doesn't hurt either.
Exactly.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, and you're going to be with a bunch of really like-minded, you know, individuals here, but also just in the Miata community in general. A dual duty or weekend warrior style car is really common. They're really good at it, so you're likely in for a good time.
It's a lot better than some other cars that I've had in previous worlds where I've tried to do something similar. So,
yeah, these cars take really well to mods. There's lots and lots of options, so you can do kind of anything you want, especially with the NA chassis. There's so much out there. So, speaking of autocross and track stuff, do you have any like kind of racing that you have in mind? And you kind of touched on this just earlier, but what kind of racing or autocross do you have planned for this car once you start getting it back up to snuff?
So currently, I will be doing kind of short track and autocrossing until it does get a turbo, just because I don't want it to not have enough power to be able to get around a track. So I will keep to the smaller tracks where it still has enough power to do so. And then, sooner or later, I'll probably start venturing out and going to some of the larger speedways once it has a little bit more speed behind it, so I'm not just falling behind in the straightaways.
Trust me, there's lots of Miatas that do that all the time. You'll be okay. And also, you don't need to convince me that you need a turbo. It's okay.
But Mike, I need a turbo.
I know. Everybody needs a turbo.
Turbos are life, man.
Excellent. So, let's talk a little bit about maybe future stuff. So, obviously, this is your car right now. Do you have any plans in the future that you might do another Miata, a different Miata? Are you pretty happy with this one right now? What do you think the future holds as far as your Miata stable?
Honestly, it's probably a little too early to tell. I am loving every minute that I have had this car. If anything, I would probably be looking at keeping, the oldest one. I might get a NA8. I'm just a huge fan of the pop-up headlights. That is, one of the things as being kind of retro-minded, if you will. I do love pop-ups. I love anything 90s, 80s style vehicles. So if I do end up getting another Miata, it will probably be another NA.
Gotcha. And that makes sense. This one, I'm actually curious because you said that the NA 90s, 80s kind of styling, but you have these modern looking headlights and stuff. And, is your plan to kind of do retro mod stuff to this to make it look more like the era and you'll get rid of headlights and stuff? Or do you think that you're going to try to keep modernizing the car even though it is kind of a car from the past at this point?
I think I'm probably going to go more along the lines of modernizing a retro style. I've just always enjoyed the styling. It can always be improved on, but not necessarily, lost in time where it should stay that way forever.
Sure. Yeah. Always good to tweak. That's why we're here. So if you, let's just say, including NA, we'll give you that option. What is your favorite generation of Miata?
Well, you made the mistake of including NA. So it's clearly going to be NA.
I figured that might be kind of obvious. Okay, so easy one for you then. So the next one that I have to ask is, since we know this is your favorite, what's your least favorite generation?
That's hard to tell. Technically, the generation that's going to be my least favorite from rumors is the new one that's not even released yet, rumored to be the NE because it's electric.
But you haven't even tried it yet. How do you know? We don't even know if it's electric yet.
But if it is.
He's a purist. I don't know. We'll see, huh? But okay, interesting. So you like ICE?
Yes.
Internal combustion engines for the win. Okay, fair enough. So, besides, actually, staying on your car here, because we know that you've had the RX-7 and other cars, which we'll get to in just a moment. When did you realize that Miata is always the answer?
When I realized that I finally fit in one. I am a larger guy, so my biggest issue was obviously legroom. I did try out a couple. It was kind of tight, and it wasn't until I had tried a Miata that had a foamectomy and an aftermarket steering wheel put in that I realized I was actually able to fit fairly comfortably. I am about 5'10", 280 pounds for anybody who is asking and wanting to know for themselves whether or not they can fit. Definitely try and get a hold of somebody. Most of the Miata community I know is pretty open to, hey, can I sit in your car, check out your car, things like that. So it never hurts to ask. I mean, the worst thing they can say is no, but at least you know. And
right.
It's always nice to be able to know that you fit in something, even if you feel like you don't. If you have any doubt in your mind that you don't, just give it a try.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's a great advice. One for the car in general. We get lots of questions about different seats or mods for the interior, and a lot of times that is just the best answer. Go find somebody, hang out at a track or at a Miata club event, something like that. More often than not, they'll let you sit in their car, check it out. Most Miata people love talking about what they've done to their car, so you'll probably have the easiest way of experiencing that before you go buy it, just by hanging out with other Miata people. You'll have a great time. So, yeah. Speaking of which, does this car have a foamectomy in the seats?
As far as I know, it does.
Ah, okay, that helps. Also, if you want to see how to do that, we do have a video about that we can post in the comments, maybe. Keith shows how to do a foamectomy on our 95, I think, seats. I don't know. Was it? Seats. Oh, they were 02, sorry. Yep. So the surfboards. But it's much the same process for all the NAs and NBs. Okay, so now let's move on to some of your other cars. We talked about Miatas for a while. So what else do you have in your fleet at home?
In my fleet at home, I sadly only have one other car, and it is a 2013 Scion XB. Most people know as the Toaster. It is definitely my favorite style of Toaster out there, because there are a few others out there. If we wanted to, we could talk about the many previous that I've had, but currently I do only have the two in my fleet of the 90 Miata and the 13 XB.
Gotcha. So besides those, maybe just, do you have any highlights of other previous cars that you've owned that maybe you wish you still did?
Definitely my RX-7 that I mentioned earlier. It had a welded diff. It was a project drift car at the time, and it was something I made the mistake of tearing apart to do a swap that I had no means of doing at the time.
As I think probably a lot of RX-7 owners might experience, or at least contemplate. So, yeah. Did it run ever, the RX-7? Did you buy it as a project?
I bought it as a running and driving project. It did still have the original rotary, and don't worry, enthusiasts, it was going to be a RX-8 rotary swap. I was not LS swapping that thing.
Perfect. Yeah, defending yourself before it gets out of hand. Good idea. All right. So, actually, we've already covered that one. So the next question let's ask, as far as other than Miatas are concerned, what is your dream car? And you can't say NAs, so something other than Miatas.
Yeah, no. So I will say we will, let's try that again. So our good coworker, Kyle, he is a Nissan fanboy, and unfortunately, as am I. My dream car is an R31 Nissan Skyline.
I see. We do have a few JDM-Yo fanboys here in the building. They're all younger people. I don't know what the deal is with that. Makes me feel real old, though. The R31 is a pretty cool car, so I'll give you that. All right, so, here's the last one that I have written down. Give us one fun fact about you that we don't already know.
You know, that's a good one, because I'm not sure that you guys don't know anything that I already told you or not. And that made no sense coming out of my mouth, because English is hard.
Well, and remember, we're also talking to our audience here, not just me. So maybe something that our audience doesn't know about you, because they're just meeting you for the first time.
We might have to come back to that one.
Okay.
What about the Panda?
Oh, I guess that's a fair point, Keith. So my daily driver does have a giant Panda head sitting in the passenger seat, because that is going to be, that one is my Panda vehicle. Kind of started in high school. A bunch of friends called me a big teddy bear, and that's kind of how it started, and I just decided to choose a bear as that, and that's what kind of gave me Panda as a nickname for a lot of my friends in high school and even now.
Yes, and we don't have it here in the video, but that Scion is very black and white themed, not even including the Panda head, but yes. And obviously not a real Panda head. It's more like a helmet, a big furry helmet.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so that's all of our questions I have written down. Do we have any that came in through the chat that we should answer?
No questions, but you're getting some fellow Scion XB lunchbox love.
Oh, we got some toaster love, some lunchbox. Is that what you called it? Lunchbox love?
Well, I mean, its nickname is the Bento Box, so.
Oh, you should probably tell them what kind of a shifter do you have in the Scion?
Oh, and of course, I had to go on Amazon and get the Samurai Sword handle shifter, because it is unfortunately an automatic.
Do they come with any manual transmission Scion XBs?
They did.
Oh. Maybe it's time for a swap.
I've thought about it. So it's a little tricky to do, but it's probably going to be one of the things later down the line.
Oh, okay. Maybe the Miata needs a turbo first, and then we can worry about manual swapping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Anything else?
Ethan asks if he can have $20.
Ethan, must be present to win. Sorry.
No.
So, Let's take a closer look at the car for the people who might be a bit more interested in the car at this point. Since we've kind of done an overview, but maybe we can do some engine bay and some interior shots, and you can maybe show us through some of the different mods that you've done so far. Okay, cool. Let me move to the side here. Let's start with the engine bay. I will pop it for you. And I'll let you hold this, actually.
All right. So when I did purchase the car, it did already have a Mishimoto coolant upgrade kit and hose kit. So it does have the Mishimoto radiator and hoses and silicone hoses. Does already have a Domination cold air intake as well, or DDM. I will be changing the marker lights and turn signals down here as well on the front bumper. Other than that, there's not a whole heck of a lot other than obviously the fuel system that I had to do for safety reasons. I do have motor mounts and I have done the lug nuts on the wheels as well.
Hey, can you show us off your really cool steering wheel and maybe that awesome steering wheel hanger?
So the number one thing on this car, because it did come with a very dirty Alcantara steering wheel, is I decided to go ahead and go online and find myself a new steering wheel, and went ahead and upgraded for a quick release as well. And because I did that, I did also have to get our steering wheel hanger kit, and that does sit just right behind our mirror.
Ooh, ah.
So fancy, so shiny.
And very much a bolt-in affair, of course. Excellent. Any other notable interior mods that you'd like to talk about?
No notable interior mods right now, as that's pretty much the only thing that I have done. I did take everything apart, clean it really well. Of course, the only way to clean under the seats is to take the seats out. So that did happen within the first day of owning it.
And that's a good idea. Anytime you get a new car, always try to clean off as much of the human slime from the previous owner as you can. It just makes it a nicer experience all around. All right, well, unless we have any other questions coming through, I think we can probably call that done. So thank you very much, Robert.
Of course.
Appreciate you coming in. Thanks for showing off your car. And if you have any questions about Robert's car or what he plans to do with it, you can drop those in the comments even after this video has been posted, and we'll try to answer more questions as we go. And probably down the line, we'll maybe do a follow-up video, and you can show off what mods that you have been able to put on the car after you've been here and, you know, decided to turn it into a turbo track beast or whatever ends up happening down the road. So we can plan on a future video if that is something everybody wants to see, or if you want to show it off.
For sure.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your time. If you're watching this live, thank you for all the comments. We sure appreciate it. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, still put your comments and questions down below. Again, we'll try to get to them if we can and answer as many questions about Robert's car as we can. And if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, subscribe, that kind of thing, so that way we can continue doing these videos. We have a lot of fun, so hopefully you guys enjoy it too. Otherwise, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.